Well, should we get started? Hi, everybody. Thanks for coming. My name's Andy Vaughn. I am the Developer Relations Manager for developer.dolby.com. And essentially, we're trying to bring as much premium audio to as many experiences as possible. And we want to talk today about bringing a really great experience to web apps and web games and web experiences as you're building them now, because we think the time is now. And so, it's going to be a three-person thing. I'm going to introduce you to Todd Gehring, who manages a lot of our web technologies, and I'm going to introduce you to Garrett Nantz, who runs Luxurious Animals and does some really cool web stuff as well. Going to give you some quick background, then I'm going to get out of the way and kick it to Todd. So, a little bit of background about Dolby. We have 50 years of experience at this stuff. It goes from noise reduction on tape, and I'm sure how many of you remember walking up and pushing that magic, noise reduction button and hearing the hiss disappear from your tape? Like 3 of you, right? Ooh, that's a lot of them. We all just dated ourselves, just so you know. But that's great stuff. And we start there, and we moved up to stereo and surround sound, and then dividing the room into bits and pieces to make 5.1 and 7.1. And we've kind of made this career, this business out of making audio more lifelike, more realistic, and more enjoyable to help people check out of their current reality and really buy the reality that broadcast presents, that cinema presents, that all these other experiences bring around. And when you do it right, people buy it and believe it. But of course, there's a problem here, I think, and that is one of perception. That's one that people associate Dolby with that. Anybody got a home theater room that looks like that? Yeah? Can we come to your house for a movie? My wife would kill me if I did this, mainly because that's a $6 million setup. No kidding, put all the zeros in there. Most people look at that and say, that's a Dolby setup. And it's not. I mean, I'm sure it is, but it's not the end-all be-all of Dolby setups. This is really the highest of the highest end, and the ultra audio weenie's probably going to have that in his house, but the rest of us really just don't live in this world. That's some rarefied air. So the good news is that really it runs around the world. So we look at ultra epic before, like epic overkill, and we move down to actual epic stuff that we have in our consoles, we have in our entertainment centers. For instance, immersive audio is something that's really built consoles. And I don't know how many of you play console games, but did anybody see the hoopla when the Xbox One shipped without Dolby Digital? Anybody? No? Well, that's okay, because nobody really cared about it until they actually added surround sound back into the device so they could get that check out of reality and check into Grand Theft Auto, check into whatever experience they just paid $100 on disc for. It went from a great big problem to an oh my god, this is a great experience kind of thing with the addition of audio. Now it's not only audio, right? The gameplay is awesome, the controllers are awesome, the way it works is awesome, but you take audio out of that picture and suddenly you've given people a way to go, oh yeah, this isn't real, I'm just playing a cartoon on the screen. So audio does matter, right? And look at the proof, right? Grand Theft Auto, $2 billion in 6 months. It's ridiculous. And 175 million games sold is second place. I mean, numbers like these, I think we'd all like to be talking this way, right? I only sold 175 million this year, but still, I made a few bucks. And you want to see people who are immersed in the audio and in the overall experience that's being built for them. Look at Blizzard. Has anybody been to BlizzCon? Yeah? There's people walking around in full costumes, right? I mean, that's full immersion. They're playing World of Warcraft, they're being World of Warcraft, and audio is a part of that. Being immersed in that environment is a part of that. So, in consoles, it's a very large part of that experience, and in PC gaming, it's still a very large part of that experience, but you can bring that down even farther. It's everywhere. And I'm not kidding, it's everywhere. You look at your tablets, you look at Samsung phones, you look at the new Apple TV, you'll find Dolby Digital Plus built into all those things. And the idea is that it refines the audio that comes out for the right environment. You may not get booming bass out of your tablet, but you'll get the best audio possible by using Dolby on your tablet. And so, consumers are starting to expect this, right? We used to have cruddy one-channel audio, just mono, maybe a little bit of stereo if we were lucky, and that was pretty much it. And we used to say things to each other like, nobody cares about the audio. Mono's just fine. And, I'd say that's just a load of hooey. Who has some headphones in their bag today? Anybody have headphones in their bag? Good 30, 40%. I'm going to bet there's more. Anybody who says nobody cares about audio, I'm going to say bullshit, because you're all carrying headphones with you, and you all want to hear what's coming out when you care about it. Watch a movie on mute. It's not as much fun, right? Play a game on mute. It's no good. It's the same thing as going from, a really low-quality viewing environment to a really high-quality viewing environment. You're not going back. So, audio is going to matter. And if you look at some of the services using it, iTunes, Netflix, Amazon, they're all making money on this. They're all delivering premium experiences with audio. Look at the numbers, 65.5 million for Netflix. Amazon's projecting 88 million by the end of 2019. It's for real, and all these people are getting their content through browser underpinnings, if not the browser itself. So what's that tell us? The world's ready to hear high quality audio through the browser, and it's time for all the HTML developers to hop on the wave. So with that, I want to introduce you to Todd Gehring. He's the guy who kind of manages this stuff, and he's going to tell you more. We're going to do a mic switch too, so if it squeals, it's my fault.
Good afternoon. So my name's Todd Gehring. As Andy mentioned, I'm the product manager for the Dolby web experience, basically getting Dolby technology into the browser. And one of the things that you've probably seen Dolby a lot in is you've seen us in the cinema. You've seen us in the living room. You've seen us delivered to the set-top box. You've seen us delivered through your DVD players, your Blu-ray players. But the one area where we've yet to see Dolby to date is the browser. And one of the things that we've announced recently, you may have caught this in the news. If not, we're happy to introduce this to you today. Is with the 60% or so of folks who continue to experience web content, premium web audio content on the browser, that experience is now going to be delivered through the browser, through Microsoft Edge. We've been working exclusively with Microsoft to bring all of the key benefits of the Dolby audio experience to be playing through the browser. And what that means is whether you're playing that audio through the speakers that are on your laptop, or you're playing it through your high-end home theater system, as Andy was showing, or whether you're listening to headphones, you're able to take advantage of the key things that Dolby does best when that audio is encoded upstream. So Dolby audio, when it's encoded, beyond what you would see with traditional codecs like AAC, is actually adding metadata to the stream. When it's played back on a Dolby-capable device, in this case the browser, we're using that information to provide the best audio experience possible on the device that you're playing. And so more specifically what that means is if you're playing back on a laptop, it's going to play the best it can on the speakers that you've got. It's going to adjust the dynamic range. It's going to be paying attention to the level of the dialogue within the conversation to make sure you're not constantly having to turn the volume up and down as you're listening to audio and experience. So we're very excited to announce that. That happened this summer. And this isn't the first. We've also been working with Apple and are happy to announce that we're available on Safari as well, and we are in the first stages of testing that deployment. So what we're going to show you a little bit later today with Garrett is some exciting ways of using Dolby technology beyond the premium audio experience, but also integrating with things like web audio. So why bring Dolby to the browser? Well, one of the things that is apparent if you look back over the past 5 years or so is that display technology has been increasing dramatically. You've got Retina displays, whether you're looking at your mobile phone, whether you're looking at your tablet, or whether you're looking at your 4K television set. Higher resolution and higher DPI displays are becoming the norm. But what's happened with audio during that same period of time? Really not a whole lot. And what does that mean to your users who are benefiting from this experience? It means they're not really getting the full three-dimensional set of experiences that they could be experiencing otherwise, that they're able to experience through the set-top or through the cinema. So this really answers the question of why bring Dolby to the browser? Because we can add that extra dimension of audio experience to your users. So why does this matter? Well, not only is it going to play the best possible sound on the device that it's playing on, using the metadata and being smart about the data that's coming through from the audio signal, we can bring what you would traditionally associate with Dolby, which is the full surround sound experience. So whether you're listening to that sound on headphones using virtualization technology, or whether you're plugging into a full surround sound system like we have here today and are going to show you, that sound is going to come through loud, clear, and with true fidelity to the way it was produced upstream. So you're having minimal loss, ideal compression, and perfect audio reproduction. And the other thing that I want to talk a little bit about is, so premium audio, we're all accustomed to what that's going to bring to this experience. But what we're going to show you a little bit later today with Garrett is how you can take all the virtues of the Dolby encoding and the Dolby audio codec and marry that with the more interactive experiences that you can create with the Web Audio API. And there's as you're going to see, there's a lot of very interesting things that can be done there to really not only benefit from the virtualization and the surround sound, but also the ability to interact and move those sounds around in a very efficient way. And finally, the big question, that's out there is, how hard is this to deploy? Do I need some special technology? Is this going to add a lot of extra overhead to my development process? And the short answer is no. The way you would roll this out, and Garrett's going to get into this in a bit more detail in terms of the specifics, is basically with HTML5 you have a simple ability to detect whether or not the endpoint supports Dolby Digital Plus. So as we're rolling this out to each of the different browsers, you're able to query the browser and say, am I able to play Dolby? If not, you simply fall back to AAC or whatever codec you were playing in the past. The other thing is we bind perfectly with the most common transport formats, whether that's MP4, MPEG-, HLS. It's just another audio codec that you attach to the stream that's coming out through the browser. And finally, to make this even easier than it already is, I want to call your attention to visit us at developer.dolby.com, where we're going to be rolling out over the next few months a lot of supporting information, demonstration code, samples, JavaScript code that shows how you would do this feature detection, how you can actually take advantage of tools to encode your audio. So if you've got some audio assets already ready to go and you want to test out how's that going to sound in Dolby, we're going to be rolling out in the very near future tools online to be able to encode your content in Dolby to kind of check that out. And with that, I want to introduce Garrett Nantz, who's the co-founder of Luxurious Animals, a creative agency in New York City, who's going to talk in more depth about how they use Dolby Digital Plus to enhance their audio experience for their interactive games and applications.
Passing the mic torch. Let's see, do I have another pocket to put this in? Too many devices. I can put that there. That's all right. Okay. All right. As Todd has said, I'm with Luxurious Animals. I'm the founder and creative director, and our shop is in New York City. And we've had the privilege of doing work for HBO's Game of Thrones. We've done gesture recognition installations for Esquire. We've done audio and banner experiences for Axe, as well as like Maui Jim, and doing websites for Panera. And one other thing that we've done is we actually did a theatrical trailer for Dolby themselves. And one of the reasons that we love Dolby so much is because we have such a passion for sound. And I'm thinking that all of you guys, the reason that you're probably here is that you also are interested in what is the future for sound for the web. I had reached out a couple years ago to Dolby saying, like, I really think that the HTML is, when it comes to audio, is kind of the Wild West. We had background sound, we had Flash that gave us some abilities to do audio. All of a sudden we had the audio tag, and then we kind of advanced to doing web audio API. But I still felt like something was missing. And what I felt was missing is we have the 4K. And everyone's wanting that 4K experience when it comes to imagery, but how do we get that kind of 4K, high quality for our web? MP3 sucks, if you guys aren't aware. It is a very, ancient format and has a lot of issues with it. And so we need to push it forward, and I'm so glad that Dolby has found some opportunities to reach out to Microsoft and to Apple and get that ball rolling so that we can kind of look forward into the future. So what really struck us about Dolby was that there's just an amazing amount of clarity that you get actually with the file format itself. And the file size is actually much smaller too. So if you're used to MP3s or OGGs, and you've ever tried to do, like with an OGG, a multi-channel environment, 5.1 is really basically 6 channels. The .1 is for doing the bass. You'll find that an OGG will be maybe like 3 megs, whereas the same piece of music doing it with Dolby would be about like 1.5 megs. So the fact that you're getting half the file size, but getting the legendary Hollywood supported sound is amazing. The fact that there is multi-channel support is incredible. And then if you guys have ever tried to do music with an MP3, you might have come across this before where all of a sudden the music will play, and then when you want it to loop back around to the beginning, it's going to create this very small little gap. It's unavoidable, even if your WAV or your original AIF didn't have it in it. The MP3 format is just an imperfect format, and so it requires a little bit of silence in order to have the right kind of header information. So it is a horrible format if you want to have, like a game where you want some kind of looping background element and you don't want it to kind of keep hiccuping and coughing up this little piece of silence at the beginning. And the other thing that really struck us is, Dolby's basically giving this away to all of us for free. It's not like we're going to have to pay some kind of license. We get to use the Dolby logo as a badge of honor for our sites, and also a different way to kind of embrace and kind of capture an audience that might be really excited about doing something and hearing something a little bit differently. Another thing that was just amazing, and I know that Todd mentioned it as well, is that this requires no plugins. They have worked directly with Microsoft and with Apple to be able to deliver right through the browser playback of any kind of Dolby content, whether that's 5.1, whether that's 7.1, stereo, or even what I'm going to show you in a moment is a combination of things, and we even used mono Dolby because, again, we get smaller file size, better clarity, all that stuff. So I know that Google Chrome and Firefox are probably not far behind when you realize that you have such big players that already are supporting it. So I wanted to show you guys something that we had done called Lux Ahoy. Luxamillion is our mascot, and we really wanted to show our clients, kind of the art of the possible. And we had done this, and then what I want to show you is once we knew that Microsoft Edge was actually supporting Dolby, it gave us another opportunity to kind of go back to the HTML and do that. So I'm going to play that file now. All right. So, oh wait. I'm just going to turn it up a little bit.
Is our number here?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry again.
Hopefully you guys appreciated the slight manual fade in that I did of the audio. So with this game, it's basically a pirate mayhem game using Box 2D and Canvas. And what we loved originally about this game was that it was something that we could make sure that worked on desktop, on tablet, on mobile, all through the browser. And it's really fast and really efficient. And it's a lot of fun to kind of ricochet these cannonballs all around. So that was kind of our step one for it. But we had actually created some animations for this game that we had then put into the Android version of the game. And I'd always said, man, it would be a dream of ours if we could have this actually live on the web the way that we did it originally, instead of having to down convert it and make it a stereo file. So again, when we jumped at the chance when it was announced that Microsoft Edge was going to support it in its full 5.1 glory. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you guys listening to that. Actually, let's get out of here. Okay. So here's the trailer that we had done that now was in Dolby Audio. So what's amazing again is there's no plugin that was required to actually play back that Dolby version of the file. Obviously, again, it's not like every single browser is supporting Dolby at this moment. As Todd had mentioned, on the Dolby developer site, they have a bunch of tools that make it really easy to actually detect, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit later. So what was really interesting to us was the reaction to this, even in headphones or even on the laptop, brought to life these assets, this animation, more than we ever had kind of anticipated before. So, again, what we learned from the whole thing was, let's see, where I gotta go in slide mode? F5. F5? Okay. All the way back to the beginning. So let's go through the entire thing one more time. Yeah. Just as a recap. Okay, almost there. One more time. Okay, so it uses the 5.1 assets, and a question you guys might be asking is, what is the format that you're actually going to use for this? So MPEG-4 is what is used for videos, and later on I'm going to show you an audio-only experience that uses Dolby. And what it does is MPEG-4 is a great wrapper tool for encoding, holding any other kind of encoded content. So Dolby EAC3 is basically a Dolby Digital Plus file that is being held, cradled in the arms of an MPEG-4. Okay, it's really easy to implement. Dolby has some tools that are going to be coming out this month, and I'm going to show you that tool in a moment. That is going to allow you guys to create your own assets. Again, will not need any, it's free. There's not any kind of licensing or anything like that. Don't have to sell a baby to have this happen. It also just allowed us to use the exact same assets for the Android version as for also a DVD deployment that we have for these animations. And so it's great to have this, this one asset to kind of rule them all, as kind of the future's happening. It's not quite there yet, but I think, someday we're going to get those Lord of the Ring kind of catchphrases for this. So let's flash forward a little bit. And what we were, really excited about was kind of, how could we take the Luxemillion story to the next level. And so we thought, there is the sonically rich environment of outer space that, at least in the fictional world of outer space, has a lot of rich sound, as we know from Star Wars. So what we decided that we wanted to try to push ourselves to do was, how could we do a game that incorporated Dolby in a surround sound environment, but then also take it to the next level by having Web Audio API control other Dolby assets. So let me show you the Feisty Galaxies game. And both these games are available online. Luxahoy.com for the first one, and Feisty Galaxies, if you can spell the word feisty and galaxies, you're golden. So some of you might notice, because you're in the surround sound field, that there is different audio that's actually playing in the back than in the front right now. So there's vocals that are happening kind of more behind, and there's certain other pieces of audio that are happening in front. And when I play the game, Actually, wait a minute. I didn't go to this surround sound mode. That might have helped. There you go. So you'll notice right away that there's a difference between the stereo and the surround sound version. You got a lot more kind of bass that's happening now, and you now should actually hear it. Because I wasn't in the sound field, I didn't notice that it was not in surround sound mode. But we actually threw in these buttons because we also thought it was really great to be able to A/B the test for yourself. So let me play a little Feisty Galaxies. So you should notice that some of the comets are actually flying from the back of your head to the front. And some of the other sound effects are actually in the front while the music is playing in the back. And I'm just going to play this until we get to the UFO, which is right on the next level. Round 3. All right. And obviously I have been destroyed. So to kind of go through, what we did on this game, just one more time, is that, we got, every time. Okay, so F5 is not the tool. Yeah, okay. So we used 5.1 music, MPEG-4, that was Dolby, it had Dolby EAC3s wrapped inside it. Then what we could do is we can combine that with the Dolby Digital Plus with the Web Audio API. So we then wanted to do interactive surround sound as well. And so we took mono MP4s with the Dolby, and we could actually manipulate that in 3D space with the Web Audio API. All the graphics are done with WebGL and using 3.js, which you guys probably saw in some other demo. So the question you might have is, can you do this yourself? And the answer is absolutely. But let's go through just the formats that are kind of, prevalent in the world of HTML. So there is OGG, which is supported by Chrome and Firefox. The AAC format is actually something that also is wrapped inside a M4A. Internet Explorer, Safari, Yosemite, and below, Safari iOS. There's a longer list than this, but this is kind of the basic, the core that you can have. You could use MP3s. I don't like them. We did use it on Luxahoy, and through a lot of finagling, somehow got the pirate looping sound to be not so annoying. But the quality isn't really there, and it really is not the future. So that leaves us now with the newest format that I think is really great. And you're going to start to see more browsers that are going to start to support this. Again, no plugins. So MPEG-4 with Dolby EAC3 inside, Microsoft Edge, Safari has just released their first implementation of using the Dolby Digital Plus code. And so we're really excited about that. So you can play Feisty Galaxies on both the latest version of the LCAP Safari 9 or Microsoft Edge if you want to hear it in Dolby yourself. And so that leads us to, how do we detect for this? Dolby has on GitHub a way that you can use JavaScript detection to easily determine whether or not Dolby can play this file format. I'm going to show you, let's see if this little link likes to do something here. All right, so you can go to this GitHub page, which you see here. There's some scripts, and right here in the feature detection, see if I can make this slightly bigger. Slightly. And maybe blow it up. No. There we go. I don't know if it wants to go. You can kind of see it a little bit here. But anyway, you call this function, and what happens is that you are basically asking if it can play this type of audio with the MPEG-4, and the codec inside it is going to be called an EC3, okay? And then down here, it talks about, you know, creating the new audio, instantiating it, and let's see. And over here, what it's doing is actually going to play a silent MPEG-4, which is part of the asset collection within this GitHub, to again be able to detect properly whether or not it can play. So we've used it a lot. It's been great. Actually, on the Lux Ahoy site, we created our own feature detection, and what we learned is, and it kind of almost gave us a little bit of insight as to the future, was at the time Microsoft Edge was the only one that could support it. But Safari 8 was giving us a little bit of some information that it seemed like they were going to support it later. So if you use a certain kind of detection script other than this one, what you're going to probably find is that Safari 8 will think that it can play Dolby Audio and actually play no audio. It'll just show you the video if it's a video, or the game will be missing. And then on the Dolby, let's see, how do I get it out of the zoomy mode that I just got it in? Let's see, there we go. That's awesome. Okay. And let's see, Dolby, I guess it's not up here right now. Dolby.
Developer first.
Oh, developer first. Okay. On the developer Dolby.com site, this will come up. And then if you go to support, and the Wi-Fi slowly works its magic, you'll see under utilities, there's also a browser audio validator. Okay, you can start this test if you want to, see whether or not your browser is so awesome that it'll actually play it. Okay, and then what you're going to find down here is that there's actually a list of browsers that support or don't support it. The list right now obviously is going to be longer on that doesn't support it, but at least you get an idea of the kind of things it returns, whether or not it's probably or maybe and supports Dolby Audio. So that's something you can look forward to. And then just like last thoughts. Let's go back to last thoughts. Okay. So another thing that I wanted to kind of mention, and I don't want to hit that button again, so I'm just going to leave it in this mode, is that if you wanted to create this yourself, Adobe Audition Pro Tools has the ability to do 5.1 content. Again, in the case of Feisty Galaxies, we did have some mono files that all you'd have to do is just convert it immediately. But you could set up 5.1 multi-track session. From there, you can have audio appear in your left, right, center. This is the LFE. It's called the LFE, the low frequency effect, or the subwoofer bass channel, and then you would have your left and right surround that's there. You take that wave, you export it. It could be as a WAV file, an AIF. It could be a lot of different formats, but it's obviously the best if it's not that it's a lossless format instead of a lossy format. So what's available that's coming on the developer site at the end of October is this Dolby Digital Plus encoding utility. And just to kind of show you guys that, what you could do is you can see I'm dropping a 5.1 OGG on there. It uploads it to encoding.com. And then once it's uploaded to encoding.com, it's going to start the process of actually converting that into an MPEG-4 with the EAC3 wrapped inside it. It's going to give you some information so that you actually know that it's 192 kilobits per second at 4.1 kilohertz. And then it'll give you a link that you can actually download that file yourself. You could take that file and then be able to put it into your audio folder, put it up on your FTP, and then part of your list would be the OGGs, the M4As, and then just one set of files that would be for the Dolby, and that way it would play back. So the final thoughts are, will this actually cost more time and money? And it really depends on the creative idea. You can do a very simple implementation if you already have video assets from a client, whether it's you're working on an official movie website and you're telling your client, look, there's now a solution to be able to take those original assets and be able to deliver it on the web the way that you and the director had originally intended. There's also just, the cost is really also dependent on how much other time you might want to put into doing a little bit of QA. We found that the QA was not too bad because what browsers can support it. We got a lot of good feedback that said that Edge was playing it and Safari was playing the files back correctly, and it only took us about 15 minutes to download the code, be able to implement it ourselves, that JavaScript detect. And I think the last thing is just our audience is looking for other opportunities to come to the web. And so maybe you guys have all tried a lot of visual eye candy to kind of draw them there. But I think that there's some great PR moments, some buzzworthy moments. If you're saying, hey, come to this experience, we have something on the audio side that we can actually let you hear. We did that actually with an Axe project where we did binaural audio. We won a couple Cannes Cyberlions because we actually thought of something in a very different way. We thought sound first. We did some Game of Thrones work in season 1 that also did some really interesting audio things. And what we found is our clients are really more receptive to thinking outside of the normal box of just saying like we can just do some visuals and then slap the audio in later. So sometimes you can now present an idea audio first and kind of think about how you're going to actually present the visuals. So last thing is just we'd love for you guys to come to the booth. I think there's about another hour that we're going to be there. You guys are also welcome to come up to talk with us right after this. I know that there is a giveaway for getting your own pair of headphones. That's about $350 worth if you go to the booth and you have your ID scanned. Andy is at andyvon@dolby.com. Todd, you can see his information below. My information is also below that. And some links you might want is the developer.dolby.com, and also you can get them on Twitter at Dolby Dev. Thanks, everyone.